Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from Mercedes-Benz at Baton Rouge Studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. It means we're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. All your printing, scanning, copying needs. Gulf Coast Office Products can help you out. Hope your work week is off to a good start. Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Fired up that you're here with us for the next couple of hours. Talk to Dr. Jeremy Burnham from Ochsner coming up at 1:45. In the second hour, Connor O'Gara from Saturday Down South will be with us at 2:30. He, over the weekend, I saw this over the weekend. I actually don't know when this appearance was. I'll have to go back and look at it. He's kind of feeling like LSU may be his national championship pick in college football this coming fall. We'll get Connor's thoughts on all of that at the bottom of hour number 2. So lots and lots to do. Let's crank things up the way we do it every day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's opening drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Well, when we last left you, LSU had just suffered a crushing defeat on Thursday night. Again, they had a 2-run lead in the 8th inning with their All-American closer on the mound, and South Carolina came back and beat them. And at that point, you're looking at it going, okay, LSU probably needs to go ahead and win these next 2 games. The good news for LSU at that point was that Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson were yet to pitch. And the good news for LSU is those 2 guys went out there, as they have done time and time again, pitched brilliantly, and LSU won the final 2 games of that series. You know, Friday, I said, if you just put Thursday in the rearview mirror, push it aside, and don't worry about Saturday, if you just look at Friday's game, you're pitching a guy who is among the top pitchers in the SEC. What I said on Friday was I think that there are 15 other SEC teams playing. I think 14 would have taken Cade Anderson to start their games. Tennessee, probably okay with Liam Doyle doing that, but Cade Anderson was as good as anybody had in the SEC that was pitching on Friday. And he went out there, 6 2/3 innings, 9 strikeouts, only allowed 1 run, got LSU off to a phenomenal start, and LSU backed him up with a quality offensive game, 10 hits, scored 8 runs, got the long ball going a little bit finally. That's just hasn't been something LSU's done a lot of on the road. Jaron Jones hit a couple home runs, Ethan Fry with an opposite field blast, and LSU comfortably won an 8-1 game on Friday. And then you turn around and give Anthony Ianson the ball on Saturday, and I did not think Anthony Ianson had his best stuff on Saturday. Like, you look up, he's issuing some walks, he was falling behind, and he ended up walking 3 guys in the game and only struck out 5. That's a guy that's been striking a ton of guys out. But he gritted and gutted and found a way to make the pitches he needed to get LSU through 7 innings of work. He had to throw 33 pitches in the second inning of that game and still was able to get through 7 when LSU's bullpen was a little bit compromised. I mean, you had already used Zach Cowan on Thursday for an extensive amount of pitches. You used Kason Evans for 27 pitches on Friday. And so did you have Newt available? Like, probably not. He threw 55 on Thursday. Shores had thrown 31, so you didn't know if he was going to be available. Turns out he got the last 2 outs of the game. But, like, your bullpen was a little bit compromised in that game, and Ianson gets you through 7 innings, and the offense did enough. Got 12 hits, scored 7 runs. Jones just absolutely sizzling. At that point, Jake Brown hit one to the moon. And LSU did what they needed to do, which is go to Columbia, South Carolina, and win 2 games in that series. Would you have liked 3? Yeah. But after you dropped that first one, you needed to get 2, and you got it. And you got it on the backs of Anderson and Ianson, as I've said. And I went back and looked at their statistics. And in their last 10 starts, those 2 guys over 10 starts, so that's 5 weeks of action, LSU is 8-2 in those games. And over those 10 games, those 2 pitchers have thrown 65 innings, only 49 hits, and 18 earned runs. That's a 2.49 ERA. So an ERA of 2.5, 102 strikeouts, and 24 walks for those 2. If you asked me to take those 2 or Skeens and Ty Floyd, I would take Skeens and Ty Floyd because I get Skeens in that equation, and he's the best pitcher I've ever seen at LSU. But as far as a 1-2 punch, each carrying their own weight, this may be the best I've seen at LSU late in the season. I mean, you look at Coleman and Renato, even though Coleman was kind of a reliever at times and then maybe started on Sunday, he was National Pitcher of the Year. Like, that's great and a little bit different because they weren't like the 1-2 at the top of the rotation, but those two guys were really, really good, obviously. You look at, the team that won it in 2023, I mentioned Skeens and Floyd. Last year, Holman and Jump. Of course, Poche and Lang had a good run for their 3 years pitching together. There was 1 year where Kevin Gausman was the ace as a sophomore, and Aaron Nola kind of emerged as the number 3 and the number 2 starter as a freshman. He wasn't quite Aaron Nola yet. He was good. He started the regional opener. He started this game in the Super Regional against Stony Brook. He was good, but he wasn't what he would become. Like I as far as my confidence level goes in two guys pitching, this is about as good as I can recall, and that's a huge, huge deal for LSU. And I think that you go into every weekend now really feeling like you've got an advantage on the mound. They've still got to figure some things out. I'll tell you this. One thing I really liked over the weekend, I thought Chase Shores and Jaden Newth both really threw the ball well. And I looked at Chase Shores. SEC hitters were over 300 against them through 8 weeks of SEC play. He's only allowed 8 hits in his last 10 1/3 innings. He's got 8 strikeouts and 3 walks over that time. It's not completely dominant, but it's tidier. There's a little bit more command. He's not getting squared up as much. And I think Jay Johnson's starting to really feel some confidence and some trust in him. I think you're going to see Chase Shores in high leverage situations moving forward. And then Jaden Newt's the other one that I talked about on Friday, but I think it's worth mentioning that as we talk pitching right here in this opening segment. There's nothing I don't like about what Jaden Newt's doing. He's throwing the ball 95 miles an hour. I love the splitter change that he's throwing that fades away from the left-handed hitters. He mixes a breaking ball in for enough for effect, and he throws a ton of strikes. So you've been searching and searching and searching all year for somebody to kind of step up beyond the big four. It's been Anderson, Ianson, Cowan, and Evans, and you're looking for 2-3 other guys to help get you through a weekend. And right now, I'm feeling pretty good about Chase Shores and Jaden Newt. There was a time there where it was Connor Benj and it was Connor Ware, and those two guys have kind of faded into the background a little bit. You thought maybe Gavin Guidry would come back. That ended up not happening. So you're still kind of searching. And I think those two guys are really good, in really good shape to give you some innings. I'm not saying that they're going to close games. I'm not saying that I want them to start games necessarily. But as far as getting outs over the course of a weekend, and I'll always say that, a regional, more so than a super is just kind of your standard deal, but a regional in Omaha, when you get into those brackets, they become a big collection of outs. And even if you're down 5 or up 5, like you still have to get those outs, and you need multiple guys to step up to do that. And if you think about some of LSU's trips to Omaha, and you think about some of the outings that you got from Nate Ackenhausen, and that you got from guys like Javen Coleman, that you got from Caleb Gilbert in 2017, where like that, not something that you had seen all year long, but you felt like you probably needed to have it. I mean, Griffin Herring as a freshman in 2023 pitched some really big time innings when LSU got into the losers bracket. So you need to build some depth on that roster, and I think LSU has done that, or is working towards doing that. But it certainly starts with Anderson and Ianson. Offensively for LSU, I think it was good to see a step down in pitching. You're just facing some really, really tough arms, and that's not an excuse, but it's certainly part of the discussion. You're just not going to light some of these SEC staffs up. Arkansas's got too many dudes with elite level stuff. So does Tennessee. You're just not going to light those guys up. But what happens when you take just a little bit of a step down in competition, like you will in a regional? The 3 teams that come to Baton Rouge for the regional will not be as talented as Arkansas, as Tennessee, as Texas A&M, even to an extent. Like, they're just not. That's not what regional 3 and 4 and 2 seeds look like. So I think South Carolina staff is more representative of that, what you may see from a potential 3 seed in a regional. And I thought LSU showed up offensively. They hit the ball hard. They hit the ball over the fence. And they were able to manufacture a good amount of runs. Did it look like Auburn did against South Carolina? No. Did it look like Florida did against South Carolina? I was waiting for LSU to win one of these 16-3, and that just never happened. But I'm not going to complain too much. When you look at the 3 games, and LSU scored 8 runs on 10 hits on sorry, that was on Friday. On Thursday, scored 5 runs on 11 hits, and then Saturday and Sunday, 8 runs on 10 hits, and then in the last game, 7 runs on 12 hits. Like that's a reasonable offensive effort when you consider that the long ball was very much in play. And 2 guys that was really nice to see get going on Friday and Saturday, basically, but more so on Saturday in the last game was Derek Curiel and Stephen Milam. Both guys have kind of had some struggles. Really, Milam has been all year in SEC play, and Curiel has just kind of been of late. And those 2 guys really swung it well. I've got these statistics that I wrote in Around the Horn for LouisianaSports.net. Through 29 league games, so entering Saturday, Milam was hitting exactly 200 in SEC play. He went 2 for 4 and hit the ball really hard into the outfield. Curiel was 4 for 33 over 8 games entering Saturday's game. That's a 121 average over 2 weeks, basically. And he got 3 really well-struck hits in Saturday's game. So LSU can hopefully get more from those guys. Your heavy lifting is going to need to be done by Jones and by Dickinson and by Fry. Those have kind of been your thumpers all year right there in the middle. But you got to have help 1 through 9 to be a championship caliber team. And I thought that seeing Curiel and Milam step forward on Saturday was probably a good thing. LSU can really take this week and do whatever it is that they want to do over the next 4 days before they get there and start playing in Hoover on Friday night. They'll be the last team of 16 teams to play. So they can take this time to kind of do whatever they want. They're going to do a scrimmage today, like an inter-squad with some live ABs. And then I think they'll travel on Wednesday to get ready for Friday's game. So I want to talk about where LSU is in the national seed race. I think a lot of you that are listening are aware of what happened on my Twitter over the weekend. If you're not, tune in. We're going to talk about it. I was really taken aback by the reaction to one of my tweets from Saturday. So I will talk about it. We'll discuss it. I'll talk about LSU's resume and where things stand when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every car that is on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Every new purchase, 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. That's as good as you're going to find in the industry. 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. And every single purchase also comes with 3 years of complimentary maintenance. And that complimentary maintenance can be done valet, meaning you never have to really lift a finger. They come get your car, leave you with a loaner so you can get on about your day, take your car back to the dealership. They'll handle all your servicing, whether that's the oil change, tire rotation, air filter, wiper fluid, whatever the case may be. They'll handle your maintenance, bring it right on back to you. You don't have to spend your day, half your day sitting at the service aisle if you don't want to. It's the beauty of their service and the relationship that they have with their customers at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Go by and see them, Airline at Pico across from Women's Hospital. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Find them online, GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Huh. Looks like the lucky just got luckier.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Monday shows brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. All your printing, scanning, copying needs, Gulf Coast Office Products. Find them online, gcopnet.com. Shout out to Trey Beal and the team at Gulf Coast Office Products. Just phenomenal folks that can absolutely help you. No matter what vertical market that you are in, Gulf Coast Office Products understands what your needs are, printing, scanning, copying perspective, and they can help you out. It can help the bottom line. No matter if you're in law, medicine, whether you're in education, media company like us, Gulf Coast has got clients in your field, and they know what you need to know. So contact our guy, Trey Beal, gcopnet.com. Do business with those folks here in the great state of Louisiana. All right, Beck, fire up the old mic over there. Okay. I don't have, comparatively speaking, with like Matt or T-Bob, Jake, I don't have a very big Twitter following.
Yeah, how many followers do you have, Hunt? Do you know?
Almost 15,000.
That's not bad.
So as I scroll through my timeline, there's an impressions thing on all the tweets that shows how many people have interacted with it, seen the tweets. And so I'll just go in order, like 2,000 on a game story, right under 1,000 on a different game story. And looking at LSU's SEC tournament path, that got almost 4,000 impressions. And I sent a tweet out on Saturday that got 97,000 impressions. So it just went haywire. And this is what the tweet said. Things change rapidly and will over the next week, but I'm not convinced LSU is a slam dunk top 8 right now. I feel good about it, but I don't think it's done. What does that tweet say to you, Jacob?
It says that you feel very good about where LSU's at. However, you are not going to vehemently say that LSU is 100% a top 8 seed right now.
Yeah. And so I thought that tweet was a pretty tepid step. Like, it's non-committal. It's like, I just don't know that it's over. And everyone just exploded. 97,000 impressions. It's all over Tiger droppings. I'm getting 102 reply tweets. I'm getting Twitter DMs from people with profanity in them.
Hunt,
it was unbelievable.
You almost got what they call, the kids call ratioed.
Yeah,
when you get more comments than likes.
Just because I said I'd like to have a little more information. I basically said, I think LSU's in good shape, but we'll see over the next few days. And that was apparently the most scorching clickbait tweet that ever happened. I was stunned by the response. And then they started a Tiger droppings thread that suggested that I said LSU wasn't a top 8, which never happened. It just completely made up out of thin air. I said I felt good about LSU being a top 8. And then to play a little devil's advocate with everyone who said I was just an idiot, I listed 8 teams in what could be a potential point in their favor over LSU. And that was all the exercise was. That's what we do this time of year. You just compare resumes, and there's a discourse. And man, people just did not like that at all. So today I wrote about where I think LSU stands in as far as the selection committee goes, and I think LSU's in a really good spot. The D1 baseball team, they put their rankings together and put a projection out last night that had LSU at 7. I think that's a little bit lower than where I'd have them. I would probably have them in the 5 to 7 range. But all I was saying was I wouldn't feel great if LSU lost to Texas A&M on Friday, which their RPI is in the 50s. Potentially that could drop LSU's RPI to like 9 or 10. And then if Florida State swept through the ACC tournament or Oregon swept through the Big Ten tournament, and then all of a sudden there could be a discussion. Like, I think Oregon State's resume stinks, quite frankly. I have a little bit of sympathy for them on the whole because their conference disintegrated and they had to go do this thing on their own, and that's really difficult to do. But I'm looking at a team in Oregon State right now that has the strength of schedule at 39. They have 10 Quadrant 1 wins, and this is the sicko in me that looks at this probably closer than I should have. They have 3 Quadrant 1 wins over Hawaii because they were on the road, and Hawaii is exactly 60th in the RPI. So if Hawaii loses a game this week and falls one spot from 60 to 61, that will take 3 top Quadrant 1 wins away from Oregon State, and they will be sitting there at 7 and 8 in Quad 1, which I don't think is a national seed type deal, and I don't think their body of work stands up to LSU at all. They got swept in 4 games by Oregon. Like, I don't like Oregon State's resume at all, personally, but they're 6th in the RPI, and we do know that the committee likes to look at RPI. Another data point that I was bombarded with constantly on Twitter was the fact that LSU is ranked number 1 and won a series. How could they fall from 1 to 9? Well, that's not a data point. Being ranked by Kendall Rogers and Aaron Fitt isn't on the team sheet. Like, it's just not. So it's irrelevant. Like, you can take it or leave it. It doesn't hold any weight. Your resume is the weight. And LSU has a good resume, and I think it's a resume that would net probably like the 6th seed right now. But with a week's left of baseball to go, I'm just looking at this going, I can concoct a scenario where number 1 RPI Georgia gets a top 8, and number 2 RPI Auburn, who has 15 Quad 1 wins to year 13, gets a top 8. And RPI 3 Vanderbilt, who has 15 Quad 1 wins and did not play Auburn or South Carolina. Their strength of schedule is 2nd. Texas won the league. They're going to get a top 8. Arkansas has 20 league wins and a 5 RPI. Like, that's a top 8. North Carolina is roundly considered a top 8 right now. And then if I go to Oregon State and then potentially Oregon is 9-1 against Quad 1. And if they go win the Big Ten tournament and have that data point and their RPI goes from 12 this week to up to 8 or 9 and LSU loses on Friday and their RPI dips to 9, like, all I'm saying is, like, it could be a discussion. My broader point was that I think LSU's in really good shape, and I think they've done enough. But somehow, some way, my saying I'd like to see a little bit more turned into a far hotter take that, nope, it's over, slam the book, it's done. Like, that wasn't the hot take. Mine was, can we just, like, see? That was the hot take.
Yeah.
It absolutely broke my brain.
Well,
I couldn't believe it.
Hunt, you have to understand that there are going to be so many people on Twitter. They're going to read the first sentence, and they're not going to read the whole thing. They're going to see the first thing you say, and then they're just going to immediately, that's what they're going to take away from it.
And it's like, there were so many, like, layers to this that were so amusing to me. But and then I got accused of clickbait. I don't make any money if people read my tweets. Like, that, how am I benefiting from that?
You're not.
It's like, the whole thing just did not make any sense on any level to me. And it was consistent for 2 days. Literally getting DMs on Twitter with profanity in them for that tweet. Like, I didn't lose any sleep over it, but it didn't become any less wild to me. So here's the deal. Like, I think LSU is in good shape. I'm going to pull against Oregon this week. I'm going to pull against Hawaii this week. And, of course, it always helps if LSU wins a game. But I think the thing that we have to consider with LSU, their non-conference was a disaster from a resume perspective. You played a bunch of really bad teams in the pre-conference. And your in-conference strength of schedule was very light. You got to play Missouri. You got to play South Carolina. You got to play Mississippi State. If you look at the top teams in the RPI, you did not play Georgia. You did not play Vanderbilt. And then you got swept by Auburn, and you lost 2 or 3 to Texas. That's the top 4 in the RPI. So, yeah, the series win against Alabama is good. The series win against Arkansas is great. 19 SEC wins is very good. Your winning percentage in Quadrant 1 is very good. You're 13-10. Those 13 wins are good. There's a lot of good on that resume, and I think LSU is just fine right now. But we've seen wild things happen over the course of the last 7 days. I mean, how many times did a Paul Mainieri team have its seeding changed over the course of time? Now, sometimes it doesn't matter. What Ole Miss and Mississippi State did in Hoover 4 and 3 years ago didn't end up mattering. And maybe what LSU does in Hoover this week or what Oregon does in the Big Ten tournament isn't going to matter. But the fact of the matter is, like, I just wanted to see the discussion. And, like, I'm not vindicated because Kendall and Aaron and Mark Etheridge put LSU on the 7 line yesterday. Like, they're not the committee. So that doesn't matter. And we're never going to get the actual information, whether I was right or wrong, unless LSU falls out of the top 7. I looked at the metrics. I looked at the numbers, which I feel like, and this is projecting, this is painting with the broad brush, and this may not be fair. But I would suggest that I probably looked at the numbers more closely than most of the people who just claimed it's over, lock. Number 1 team, 19 SEC wins, won 7 of 10 league series, LSU's a lock. Like, I probably looked at the numbers a little bit more closely, and I think I offered a reasonable take and a reasonable opinion, but that was certainly not popular on the Twitter or message board streets. And for that, I could not. I was dumbfounded. I had like 30 people at my house yesterday for Keller's graduation, and I'm sitting there like posting a few things on Tiger Droppings, just trying to straighten out the discourse because some of the stuff that was just being said was just incorrect. But we'll see. LSU, I think, again, is in a good spot, but we'll see how. I'm going to monitor this every day, and there will be outcomes every single day starting tomorrow that impact LSU one way or another. And we'll keep you posted on it. I'm going to continue to write about it over on LouisianaSports.net. And we'll see when Selection Monday rolls around. Right now, I would put LSU's chances of being in a national seed at somewhere in the neighborhood of 95%. I really feel good about it, but I can't get past that extra 5 with some of the stuff that's in the numbers. So that's kind of where I stand. Where do you stand, Beck? Do you feel like LSU is slam dunk here?
I think they are. I think I can understand your position, why you would say that you're 95%. I feel pretty good about it just because, I mean,
I'm dismissing Coastal Carolina here, who theoretically could win the Sun Belt tournament, but they're 4-5 in Q1.
Yeah.
And for me, that just doesn't stand up. Their RPI is pretty good at 11. They've won a ton of baseball games. Their record's 44-11. In fact, I think they lead the country in wins. They do. So they've won a lot of games. They're 26-4 in the Sun Belt. That's awesome. They're a host. I don't think they're a top 8. I think that the top 8 Steelers for me could be Florida State, who's sitting there at 14 in the RPI if they go win the ACC tournament, although I don't think they would get there. It's Oregon State, whose resume I don't like. Personally, I don't think they've stood up well at all against the best teams in the country. They haven't really even played them, and they got one chance against Oregon and lost all 4 games. And then you're talking about Oregon as well. So those are kind of the ones that you're looking at to steal.
Yeah,
but look, I think LSU's going to throw Kate Anderson on Friday, so I think LSU's going to be fine.
Yeah, they don't have. I mean, here's my thing: is that will there be a difference in how LSU is viewed, whether or not they either, let's just say they lose their first game, they're out, or they make it to the championship game and lose? Like, is there going to be any? I don't even know if that would affect where they stand really.
Yeah. Look, it's like I talked about like last week. This week is so crazy. There's so many games, and the RPI just starts yo-yoing back and forth. And like the fact that Hawaii's game on Wednesday could potentially impact LSU because of what it would do to Oregon State's resume is just a small piece of how many moving parts there really are. All LSU can control is what they do starting on Friday and how they handle that. And Jay Johnson's got a decision to make based on how much he wants to use his 2 workhorses this weekend. I was going to kind of say this for the end of the week, but like I would probably throw Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson 50 pitches on Friday. That's probably what I would do. And then you would have them both on the same rest for the following Friday. You could use whichever one you'd like. You don't overwork them. I don't feel bad with Ianson going from Saturday to Friday if he's only going to throw 50 pitches. That's what I would do. I don't think he'll do that, but I would be sure they got on the mound, got a little bit of action, and then got out before they were overworked, and then let the rest of your team do whatever it is they like to do the rest of the way. But there's just a lot of volatility in college baseball this time of year with these numbers, and it's a beauty pageant. That's what it is when it comes down to Monday. LSU's in a good spot, but we'll see how all that shakes out, and we'll update you every single day as we move forward. All right, let's take a time out, come back with a little bit more. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
was a interesting weekend in the Southeastern Conference for baseball. I thought a really statement win for Arkansas over Tennessee, who's just gone into free fall. I think they lost 5 of their last 6 SEC series. That's hard to do with Liam Doyle on your team. He is so good. They're really talented. They just can't win a series, and their schedule is really difficult. It's hard to go to Baton Rouge and win. It's hard to go to Fayetteville and win. Vanderbilt's playing really good baseball, and then they've got annihilated by Texas A&M in one day in both ends of a doubleheader. But that's still a dangerous team, and is likely going to be a dangerous 2 seed wherever they end up traveling, assuming they don't win the SEC tournament and flip that. But Arkansas looked very good, swung the bats great as they usually do, and so that furthered how good LSU series win was over the Hogs the week prior. So I thought that was an interesting one. Florida continues to stay hot. They win 2 games over Alabama in Gainesville, and they are now threatening to host. Their RPI is good enough. They got to 15 league wins, and if they go to Hoover and play well, they could potentially play their way to a host. I don't think they're there now, and you can't completely dismiss the start of SEC play where they started 1-11, but to finish the way they did was incredible. Missouri, I think it's safe to say, turned into a pumpkin. They made Missouri somehow this weekend made the previous weekend when they went and swept Texas A&M in College Station even look more improbable by what they did over the weekend against Mississippi State. Every time I looked up on Twitter, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Mississippi State was hitting another home run. I mean, they just annihilated Missouri for 3 straight days. And A&M got 2 hits in the second game and the third game of that series. I have no idea how that happened. Missouri played the exact same brand of baseball for 9 of the 10 SEC weekends, and then one weekend, a complete and total outlier, destroyed Texas A&M's entire season and may have gotten a coach fired. They could play that weekend 100 more times, and I don't think Missouri sweeps it a single other time. It's crazy that happened the way that it did. But Mississippi State also gets to 15 league wins. They did fire their coach and are going to be in the NCAA tournament, traveling somewhere. And I think this will be an opportunity for Justin Parker to kind of audition for his next gig. They're not going to hire at Mississippi State, but somebody may want to look at him because he's got those guys playing significantly better than they were at any point in the year before Chris Lemonis got fired. So big sweep there for Mississippi State. They are officially in the NCAA tournament. Ole Miss over the weekend takes 2 out of 3 from Auburn. The Rebs are still not a host to me, but they're hovering. And that was a really good series win for them to get that. Ike Irish continues to hit everything in sight for Auburn. He could potentially have wrestled SEC Player of the Year away from Wahiba Aloy, but he was not good enough to win 2 games over the weekend. Ole Miss does that and takes 2 out of 3 from Auburn. The really, really disheartening thing as I was watching as an LSU fan and trying to see how everything was going to affect LSU over the weekend, you would have liked to see Vanderbilt take a couple of losses because Vanderbilt's RPI is really good. Their strength of schedule is really good. And one of the things LSU had going for them against Vanderbilt since they didn't play was that LSU's league record was better. And Vanderbilt was on the ropes in all 3 games over the weekend. On Thursday and Friday, they hit walk-off home runs from behind, not tied and homered. They were losing and hit walk-off home runs on Thursday and Friday, and they were losing 3-0 in the 6th inning of the game on Saturday against Kentucky, and they won that game too. So they came back and won all 3 games from a spot where they were not looking very good. And you're looking at Kentucky like they're teetering. They needed to get a game, and they lost all 3 of them. And now Kentucky's sitting there at 13-17 in league play with a 36 RPI, and that's bubblicious at this point. If they could have gotten 2 games in Nashville, it would have been a slam dunk. They probably get 1 game in Nashville, then it's a slam dunk, and they couldn't get that done. So that was that one I was looking for LSU. I'm trying to knock just one team out of the top 8 to make LSU's spot a little bit safer and more comfortable in my eye. And Vanderbilt was one of those teams that I thought you could have knocked out of there. And if they get swept by Kentucky, absolutely they could have backed up, but now they sweep the series. They got 15 quadrant one wins. That's 2 more than LSU. They've got a better RPI than LSU. They tied in the league standings, and LSU got to play Missouri and South Carolina. So Vanderbilt, with a 2 strength of schedule, has just a really, really good resume, and one that I think is better than LSU's at this point. And I was hoping that Coach Mingione, my good buddy, was gonna get that win, get a win in Nashville, and it just never quite materialized there for them. Texas gets back on track, and the big development for Texas over the weekend when they went to Norman and won. Max Ballou did come back in the lineup. He was last year's Big 12 Player of the Year. He's missed a little over a month with an injury. He's back and hit a home run. So Texas is closer to full strength, still without their ace, Jared Spencer, who won't be back. And Ruger Riojas, who's their ace, got knocked around for the 3rd straight week in that series against Oklahoma. But Texas is very likely the number 1 overall seed, even though their RPI is 4, because they won the SEC by 2 games. They were 22-8 in SEC play. Arkansas finished in 2nd at 20-10. LSU and Vanderbilt right there tied for 3rd at 19-11. LSU gets that tiebreaker over Vanderbilt due to record against common opponents. LSU had a 1-game better record against the teams that LSU and Vanderbilt played. So the Tigers are the 3 seed and will be the last team to take the field. And Hoover won't be until Friday night. So that's a look around the Southeastern Conference from this weekend. Nothing super impactful for LSU. The Tigers were able to hold serve and beat South Carolina 2 of 3. All right, let's step aside. We'll close out hour number 1 when we come back. Chat with Dr. Jeremy Burnham from Auctioner. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group. HighlandIG.com is that website. Look, Jonathan Carver and his team, just phenomenal folks to work with. I know insurance is not the most fun thing to talk about, but it can be vitally important. Because when something happens that you can't plan for, whether it's a hurricane, whether it's a cyber attack, whether it's a lawsuit, a car accident, it could compromise your business financially if you're not properly insured. If you're a business owner and the only thing that you pay attention to when that insurance renewal comes around is the premium, that's one thing that's very important, but what does that policy actually say? What does it respond to? Do you know about co-insurance penalties? Do you know about your building valuations? What's your business interruption limit? All those things could be huge, huge, huge deals. And you want to make sure that you've got an agent you can trust. And at the Highland Insurance Group, you certainly can trust them. They are experts from a technical perspective, and they can audit your policy for free to just see if you've got the proper insurance. They can certainly be there to help you through it. It's HighlandIG.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group online, HighlandIG.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. It's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Closing up hour number one here. Hour number two will be busy. Bo Bentley, if you don't know the name, big-time quarterback prospect, plans to visit LSU and Oklahoma. We'll talk about that in hour number two. Derek Carr apparently made some phone calls to other teams around the NFL before he decided to retire. We'll discuss that. And then Connor O'Gara from Saturday Down South will be with us at 2:30. He thinks LSU may be his national championship pick for this coming fall.
I have to interrupt you because
please do.
You mentioned that thing about Derek Carr. I didn't see anything about that. But I'm not even lying when I tell you I literally had a dream that Derek Carr, like it was just some day, it was a random day after he had said he retired, and it was like, oh, Derek Carr has come out of retirement and signed with, I don't remember what team it was, but I was like, oh, this is just incredible. So
you're very gifted, Beck. You've got that foresight, that vision. It's truly unbelievable. We're blessed to have you here so you can share that kind of stuff with us. It's time for Sports Health, presented by Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Every couple of weeks, we chat with Dr. Jeremy Burnham. He's the medical director of sports medicine and section head of orthopedic surgery over at Ochsner. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Dr. Burnham, how are you?
Hey, good afternoon. Doing great.
I wanted to chat with you briefly about the biggest injury in the sports world last week, which was Jason Tatum of the Celtics with that ruptured Achilles, something we've seen the LSU's football team as well. Just a devastating injury that takes a lot of time, I know, to recover from. Is in your experience, as far as the timetable goes there, and then what is compromised as you try to come back from that when you have that serious injury?
Yeah, like you said, unfortunately, this injury is more common than we'd like it to be. The Achilles tendon is a very, very important tendon, obviously, for sports, and it connects the calf to the heel bone and is really important in explosiveness. And so when you're talking about basketball, jumping, running, change of direction, those types of things, the Achilles is crucial. I did think that it was interesting from this standpoint. He was able to actually get surgery within 24 hours of the injury, and that's really, really uncommon. Usually you have a 2 to 3 week window to be able to do that, but there's a thought process that the earlier that you can get to these, the better, because the body is just starting to ramp up some of the healing cells and the biologic factors that may be of use after surgery. So I think that's encouraging for sure, is how quickly he was able to get treated.
I know that we're not speaking specifically about cases, but Jacobian Guillory dealt with this for LSU football in September of last year. Obviously, he missed the rest of the season, and he basically sat out all of spring. He did participate towards the end in some light things. Would you imagine, just in general, not with Jacobian specifically, but in general, do you think that he should be able to go through like some running stuff this summer and should be relatively full strength by the fall?
Yeah, everything is a progression after injuries of these. So, like, when we talk about Achilles injuries, we generally think about a 10 to 12-month timeline before people are able to, what we'd say, fully recover or come back and play high-level sports. And it differs a little bit according to sport and according to position. But what it's easy to forget is that, there's actually a progression going all through that. And so athletes are going to start running, doing straightforward running, easy jogging much earlier than that 10 to 12 months. Then they start doing some change in direction, some kind of fundamental athletic type movements, then more sports specific movements. And then ultimately get to that point where they've done all of those things with their therapist, with their strength coach and their sports medicine team. And then when they're fully cleared, the goal at that 10 to 12 month mark is they've already done all of the type of sport or athletic movements that you need them to do. So everybody feels comfortable about them doing that. And so I think that timeline definitely reasonable.
Every time we chat, we want to get the latest over there at Elite. I know you've got an orthopedic walk-in clinic over there. Can you catch us up on the latest?
Yeah, we do. One of the things that we've really worked hard to do over the last year is really open up access to patients when they need it and where they need it. So we try to meet our patients where they are. We have several locations, but specifically at Elite, at the corner of Burbank and Lee, we have an orthopedic walk-in clinic. And what that means is that if you have an injury or even, an ache or pain that's been going on for a while that you just haven't been able to get in and get seen, you don't have to have an appointment to come to this clinic. And so Monday through Friday during the day, you can actually show up at Elite at the corner of Burbank and Lee with any type of orthopedic issue and be seen. And then we're also open on Saturdays and Sundays as well. And, just like in the instance of this Achilles injury, he was injured that evening. He was in New York when this happened, and that happens to be where one of the premier foot and ankle surgeons is. He was seen that evening, had surgery the next morning. We're trying to provide that same level of care and that timeliness to all of our patients. When you get injured, you don't a lot of times want to wait a week or 2 weeks to get in and get seen and get a diagnosis, and we're trying to make it very accessible where you can come in and get that answer right away.
We certainly appreciate the discussion. We'll talk in a couple of weeks, Dr. Burnham. Thank you, sir.
Great talking to you. Thanks.
Dr. Jeremy Burnham with Ochsner at Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute. We know that sports injuries can be unpredictable, but one situation you can protect yourself from is muscle cramping. That heat is here. It's going to be here basically through October. One of the first things you can do to avoid aid in recovery, to avoid muscle cramping, is to stretch prior to and at the end of your activity. If you're not drinking enough fluids, that can also lead to muscle cramps, so be sure to stay hydrated. To learn more about sports injury prevention and treatment, visit ochsner.org/brortho. Always appreciate the discussions there with Dr. Jeremy Burnham. Look, as far as Jacoby and Guillory goes, and look, there's some, I don't mean to specifically speak to each situation because Dr. Burnham's not dealing with all these. He doesn't have all the information. I don't want to put him on the spot. We like to talk in like generalities with him. But Guillory was able to put pads on and do some like non-contact. He wasn't in the 11-on-11 periods, but he had pads on at the end of spring and was able to go out there and do some light drill work, some cone work, some bag work with the sleds and whatnot with Kyle Williams. So that to me seems like an awesome sign. I've said this a lot, and I think that my opinion is shared by most of the media that were out at fall camp this past August. Like Guillory really looked good. He had a really, really good August, and I think he was going to be a real key to what they wanted to do on a defensive line that was short on dudes. And his injury hurt. You forced Ahmad Breaux to play more quickly than he probably would have. Dominic McKinley got more snaps than he probably would have. Gio Paez was playing a lot kind of on the edge and was asked to go down and play tackle again. You had to shuffle the deck a little bit when Guillory went down. They didn't have anybody that was really his type of player. And I think to get him back and to get him healthy is a real plus for LSU. And so hopefully he can have a full summer of workouts and is absolutely cleared to be 100% come August 1 when they go out there to start practicing and getting ready for Clemson. So I think that Guillory's not going to be a guy that makes 94 tackles for this LSU team. He's not going to be a guy that makes 74 tackles, I don't think. But he can be a force in the middle of the defensive line. He's so strong, so powerful. He's a sixth-year player, been in the college weight room a long time. So he's a guy that you have to account for because he's so strong and he can be disruptive with his strength and his leverage. So I think that's a big add. And again, he and Jason Tatum are not completely similar. They play different sports and have very different body types. But hopefully Guillory has some of that explosiveness. That strength is still there, and he's able to give LSU a lot of really good snaps this coming fall because that injury was one that hurt LSU last year for certain. So we appreciate Dr. Burnham for coming on and giving us a little bit of time here on this Monday. That's fast moving first hour here. Talked to LSU South Carolina at the top of the hour. I talked about LSU from a resume perspective at 1:15, and then we dove into the rest of the SEC at 1:30. A lot of baseball talk in the first hour. We won't do as much baseball in hour number 2, but if you missed some of that baseball talk and want to go back and catch it, you certainly can on demand wherever it is that you find your sound. Just search Hunt Palmer Show, whether that's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, or on YouTube. Our full shows are archived every single day, and you can check it out there. If you're looking for LSU football content, Hunt on LSU. If you're looking for Saints football content, Hunt on Saints. subscribe to those channels, and we certainly appreciate you all for doing that each and every day. We've got a lot to do in hour number 2 as well. Bo Bentley is not a name I was super familiar with a couple of months ago. Certainly am now. We're going to talk about him at the top of the hour. He's kind of picked his final 2 big-time quarterback prospect, looking at LSU and Oklahoma to this point. So we'll talk about him. Derek Carr potentially making some phone calls elsewhere before he decided to retire. That's really weird, and I'd like to talk about it. And then Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South at 2:30. He's going to talk to us about his potential national championship pick being the LSU Tigers. And I don't think he's going to be completely alone on that. I feel like there's going to be a lot of positive buzz when we go to SEC Media Days in Atlanta coming up in July. I think he's going to be one of a few that have LSU, but we'll get Connor's sincere thoughts on that at 2:30. Very much looking forward to it. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Our Monday shows are brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. We will step aside, take a break for SportsCenter, get you caught up on national headlines. When we come back, let's talk some football. Bo Bentley, LSU going to get him? We will do that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. The Eagles have agreed to a multi-year extension with Super Bowl winning coach Nick Sirianni. Former Jets GM Joe Douglas returning to Philadelphia in a senior scouting role. Ahead of Game 1 of the NBA's Western Conference Finals against the Timberwolves, the Thunder, the prohibitive favorite to win the NBA championship. ESPN bet listing Oklahoma City at -175 to win the title. ESPN, NBA, and MSG Network Knicks analyst Alan Hahn.
You have to win now. They are the runaway favorites to win the championship. I mean, not even close. So when you look at that and where they are, this is now supposed to be their beginning. You know, we're going 7 years now without a repeat champion. But this Thunder team could be starting the new dynasty.
Alan Hahn on Unsportsmanlike. Timberwolves and Thunder open up the West Finals tomorrow, 8 Eastern, ESPN Radio and ESPN. Two-time defending Indy 500 winner Joseph Newgarden and Team Penske teammate Will Power penalized for violating rules during qualifying weekend, so they'll start from the final 2 spots on the grid Sunday. Braves righty Spencer Strider set to return from a hamstring injury and start against Washington tomorrow.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Tuesday with the NFL owners scheduled to meet this week, Adam Schefter will tell us if the tush push will finally be banned when he joins us at 8 a.m. Eastern. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com. All your printing, scanning, copying needs, Gulf Coast Office Products. Talk some Saints, Derek Carr in the next segment, and Connor O'Gara from Saturday Down South in 30 minutes. LSU is in the final 2 for Bo Bentley's services, according to Bo himself. There's a story up on On3 right now that Steve Wilfong wrote talking about Bentley's plans in the next month as to how he's going to make a decision between LSU and Oklahoma. If you look at Bentley, he is the number 5 quarterback in the country, number 42 prospect overall, according to the folks over at On3. By every service, Bentley is a top 10 quarterback in this upcoming class. He is from Salina, Texas, and is looking to go out of the state, just a bordering state, Oklahoma and LSU. And it occurred to me in considering this that you now have to think about LSU in some pretty glowing terms when you talk about recruiting quarterbacks. Now, I know what happened in the last cycle, okay? It was right there in the middle of that. We know that Bryce Underwood picked LSU and then at the 11th hour decided to take $10 million from Oracle. So things like that happen. But when you consider LSU and what the Tigers have become at quarterback, this is now a very, very desirable place to come play. Now, I know that Joe Burrow didn't play for Joe Sloan and didn't play for Brian Kelly, but he did win a Heisman Trophy here, became the number 1 pick in the draft, and was in the Super Bowl in his second year in the NFL. And then a few short years later, Jaden Daniels came here and won a Heisman Trophy and was the 2nd pick in the draft and had the Commanders in the NFC Championship game in year 1. And he did play for Brian Kelly, and he did play for Joe Sloan. And then Garrett Nussmeier is the leading passer returning in college football and is being mocked in the top 5 of next year's draft. So now all of a sudden, you've got this pipeline of quarterbacks that are putting up monster numbers at LSU, going to the NFL draft, getting paid very, very handsomely, and immediately having monster success. And high school players, that especially one that's going to graduate high school in 2026, that means he was 10 when Joe Burrow was getting this done. And these are his formative years. So all he knows is Joe Burrow slinging it all over the place, Jaden Daniels slinging it all over the place, Garrett Nussmeier slinging it all over the place. LSU's just a quarterbacking machine. And you know, if you've been watching this football program for 25 years, That wasn't always the case. So you've got one of the top quarterbacks in the country, and he wants to be potentially at LSU. He's going to visit both schools coming up here at the end of May and the 1st of June. He's going to head to Norman, going to head to Baton Rouge. Said he's excited to go check everything out. I'm reading this from the story that Steve Wilfong put up on 3. And you generally see these guys make a decision prior to that senior year. And then you play the senior year, most of them early enroll, and you're off and running. I feel like I have to put this caveat in every time we have this discussion. Probably isn't necessary, but it occurs to me. Like, I know he could commit and flip his commitment like Bryce Underwood. I know he could come here and transfer like 98% of the quarterbacks around college football, go to one school and transfer to another. I know that there's a reasonable chance Bo Bentley never takes a snap at LSU. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. He hasn't even committed to LSU yet. But I think LSU being in this mix and Joe Sloan consistently putting himself in the mix for high-level quarterbacks and at the same time getting massive production from the guys who were actually on the team is just a huge positive for this program right now. I don't expect Joe Sloan to coach at LSU for 11 years. I don't think he's going to coach 9 different quarterbacks here. Coordinators have a way of moving on, that they either don't get the job done and get let go, or they do a great job and are moved on to a head coach somewhere. But he's the guy right now that's in charge of getting all this done, and right now LSU's doing a really good job of recruiting quarterbacks. I knew of Bentley's name and his ranking before I looked at his actual recruiting profile, and he is a little bit undersized, like for the prototypical quarterback. I use air quotes for that. Like, he's 6'1", 200 pounds as a high school junior. Usually you're big time, top 5, top 10 quarterbacks are 6'3", 6'4", but that doesn't seem to be as important as it once did. I think that there's a lot of guys running around 6'1", 6'2". Garrett Nussmeier's not a physically imposing dude, and Bentley is a little bit cut from that cloth. He's a Texan, got good athleticism, above average arm, massively productive at high-level Texas football. So he's got a decision to make between LSU and Oklahoma. Ben Arbuckle is the new offensive coordinator at Oklahoma. He came down from Washington State, where he did work with Cam Ward before Cam Ward went to Miami. And then he was with John Mateer last year. Mateer put up some big numbers. Now he's at Oklahoma and is going to be their starting quarterback. And a lot of people feel like he's going to put up some big numbers in the SEC. So while Oklahoma was a disaster at quarterback last year and awful on offense and fired their offensive coordinator in the middle of the season and was a complete mess, there are some attractive things about Oklahoma to this point now that they've kind of overhauled everything. The concern I would have with going to Oklahoma is Brent Venables is very clearly on his last leg. They're like, if he doesn't win this year, he's not going to have a job. If he does, that's fantastic. But there's a possibility that a change could be made if Oklahoma wins 6-7 games again this year, and the schedule is very, very difficult. So that's one deterrent for me about Oklahoma, but players don't generally think in those terms. They just like to talk to the guys that are there, and Arbuckle's been a productive guy in terms of developing quarterbacks. So right now, on threes predictions, Oklahoma has got 44.8%, LSU's got 23.8%, Florida State, Ohio State, Georgia are all there as well with some ranks, but he's eliminated them. It's just LSU and Oklahoma. They'll both get visits in the next 3 weeks, and you should get a decision from Bo Bentley here coming up. I think it's important to grab a quarterback most years in the high school ranks. I just think it's good to have some of those guys. I know that LSU right now has Nussmeier, and then you went and got a transfer in Michael Van Buren. Colin Hurley is back with you. And you got Juwan Johnson running around out there. But I think it's important to add quarterbacks at high school. You understand the risk of them transferring is extremely high. But it's still worth getting one in there and just seeing if you can develop them and if they stick around. If you can't, then you got to go to the portal and make something happen. LSU's comfortable doing that as well. But I don't think you just abandon recruiting freshman quarterbacks. I think you'd like to bring some of those guys in if you possibly can. And LSU has done a really good job of that. Nussmeier's panned out to be a really, really good one. They were right there. I think they did a great job recruiting Bryce Underwood. A freak circumstance happened there where one of the richest people in the world literally decided to get involved, and that's a battle you're going to lose every single time. But right back in the mix here with Bo Bentley. And, of course, you're aware that LSU has some real ties to quarterbacks in the following class, with Elijah Haven being here in Baton Rouge and then Colton Nussmeier being Garrett's brother over in Texas. So there are natural ties to those two guys in the year behind. So you got to keep recruiting those guys with the understanding of their risk, of their flight risk. But I think LSU will do everything they can to try to get Bo Bentley in this class. And by all accounts, they've got a reasonable chance to do that. We'll find out his first intention here in the next couple of weeks. But I wanted to chat about that to start off the hour here on this Monday. We're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. When we come back, Derek Carr was making some phone calls, trying to go play for somebody else. Let's talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always. No paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. It's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. All your printing, scanning, copying needs, Gulf Coast Office Products can help you out with that. Shout out to Trey Beal, whole team over at Gulf Coast Office Products. They can help you wherever you are in the state of Louisiana. They got offices all over the state, including Baton Rouge, up in Shreveport as well, down in New Orleans. Got tons of resources, lots of equipment, a great staff. It's very, very helpful. But the customer service you're going to receive from Gulf Coast Office Products is going to be fantastic. It can be Trey as your account representative or someone else on his team, but they are phenomenal from that perspective. So if you're looking for printing, scanning, copying equipment, Gulf Coast Office Products can help you out with all of that. Beck, I don't have a ton of pride. Like, I get things wrong all the time. There are plenty of things that I don't really understand. I don't understand almost anything that is going on with this Derek Carr and the Saints split. I cannot figure out what is going on.
Yeah, it's one of the more
puzzling.
It's one of the more puzzling things that we've had in Louisiana sports wise. I'm not really sure I can try to think of other things that have happened like this.
Let me just go down the list of the things that I just don't quite get about this. I don't understand when the injury occurred. I don't understand how severe the injury is. And then when I start to learn more things like we did over the weekend where Jeremy Fowler and Kat Terrell reported that before he announced his retirement that his camp had spoken with two teams in the market about potentially playing, I don't understand how a guy who has to retire due to medical reasons with his shoulder, who's he going to play? How can he can play or he can't play?
Yeah, what would he do? Because was he going to, like, was he talking to teams saying, "Hey, I'm going to retire from the Saints and then come out of retirement and play
Well,
for you"?
that's not how contracts work.
No, it's not.
So the Saints own your rights. So it again, like, this doesn't make sense. I tried to make it make sense in my brain, and I was like, well, what if this is what happened? Like, he didn't notice the injury in January and February, and then he started noticing the injury in March, and he felt like he could potentially have the surgery, sit out a year, then come back and play. And at that point, he could make it clear to the Saints, who had just drafted a quarterback, and he wasn't going to play this year, so they would be moving on from him, and he would kind of be in the background trying to rehab and then play. But then I find out that the injury is so severe that he couldn't play, is the impression I got. If you read the verbiage of it, the Saints doctors diagnosed him with a torn labrum and significant degenerative changes to his rotator cuff. That, to me, degenerative suggests to me that it's not getting any better.
Yeah, like it's
getting
worse.
You can't play football anymore. And so I don't understand, like, who he was going to call. Like, what, he couldn't play. Certainly not this year. Or could he have played this year? And then I don't understand why he's basically forfeiting $30 million. Is it because he fears that he hid something from the Saints and could be susceptible to litigation? Like, I hesitate to sit here and speak in absolutes when I don't know all these fishy things that are going on. All I can say with, like, some degree of confidence is, like, this is bizarre and somebody's not acting in good faith at some point. It just feels like it was not handled right.
Yeah, it really is strange, man. I whenever the news came out first that Derek Carr was hurt and that he potentially may miss the whole season, it just felt so weird, the timing of it. And then you go to, okay, actually he has such a bad injury that he has to retire. He medically retire because he can't play quarterback anymore. It's just,
I mean, is this are these reasonable dots to connect? He got hurt. He could not play this season. He wanted to play moving forward, but he did not have any interest in ever playing for the Saints again. But nobody wanted him, so now he retired. Is that a feasible thing? Because I feel like that's, to me, seems unlikely. I feel like someone would take Derek Carr on their team.
Somebody
He is
would.
not the worst starting quarterback in the NFL.
Somebody would take him, even if it's just. Now, it's a question of whether or not Derek Carr would sign up for, going to a team where he's most likely going to be the backup. Maybe he has an outside chance of starting. Maybe it's a team that has a rookie quarterback and they want to bring him in and he can start for a year so the rookie can just sit on the sideline and kind of learn for the first year. But to me, I would be surprised as well, though, if there wasn't a team out there that would have been interested in taking him. Maybe it was just he wanted to start somewhere, and if he wasn't going to be able to start, he's like, all right, if I can't start, I'm just going to retire.
Which of these two extreme scenarios is more likely in your opinion? One scenario. Derek Carr gave everything he could to the Saints, played through injury, did the best he could, wishes the organization well. He did, out of the goodness of his heart, just say, I didn't really earn that $30 million, so we'll give that back to the Saints. It just stinks that it didn't work out, and if I had to do it all over again, I would do it. I enjoy my time there, and I'm going to move on and retire. Like that happy scenario, or this side where he thinks that the organization is dysfunctional. He hated his time there. It was a huge mistake to sign with New Orleans instead of the other options that he may have had, and he resents the organization, and in so was deceitful and did not disclose his injury until too late a date, and now feels bad about that, so he's not going to fight over the $30 million. Like, which of those seems more plausible to you? Oh, shucks, it didn't work out, or I really made a terrible mistake signing with the Saints?
Man, that's hard because everything, like, say what you want about Derek Carr, but he has always, at least in terms of media-wise, like he was always pretty forthcoming in media.
Until the last 5 months.
Until the last 5 months. And he played through injuries, which also, that's like great and all that he was willing to play through injuries, but also at the same time, if you're hurt, don't play because you're not going to be as good as you could be.
The first year he overdid.
He did. So with more of the evidence for me, I would lean towards saying the first scenario is the most likely of the two. I don't know, but you just never know. You never really know people. You never really know, especially athletes. You never really know them. Like Derek Carr, for all we know, he really could have really hated his time in New Orleans, and this injury kind of gave him a chance to get an out, and maybe he didn't disclose that injury when he got it. You would think that if you got hurt like that, and maybe he was, I don't know how the doctor stuff works. I don't know if he can go to doctors outside of the team, or like if you're under contract. So I don't know any of that stuff, but if he knew he was hurt and didn't tell the Saints and waited until he came back to the team and then they found out he got hurt, that would seem a little bit odd to me too.
That deal about you never know, I always live by that, and I just don't care about stuff off the field. I pull for the laundry. If you put on my team's colors like I'm in, I was fully aware when Aroldis Chapman was on the mound for the Cubs in 2016 that probably not the best dude. The guy took an automatic weapon and shot up his garage in frustration, and terrified his girlfriend or fiance. Like, that's not probably not the best dude, but he's got my uniform on and I'm trying to win. Like, go play. And I don't care who my guys vote for. I don't care what their political stance is. Like, I think Anthony Rizzo is salt of the earth dude. He's a great guy and helped out the charities a ton. I think the same like Jason Hayward with the Cubs. Like, I don't know. So I just don't care about any of that. Like, just unless it starts to affect how the organization runs and how people perceive you in the locker room, and like if it fractures the culture. And like, just looking from the outside here, it appears to me that something buckled here with the Saints and Derek Carr. I don't pretend to know exactly what it was, but like, what an odd divorce that I just did not see coming in October. Like, I just did not see it. And we certainly have at this point. I think there will be more that comes out about this in the coming years, maybe. Maybe Derek Carr gets into some media. A lot of quarterbacks have done that, and maybe that he tells some story there. Maybe Dennis Allen or Mickey Loomis says something down the line at some point. Maybe a reporter digs something up. But
maybe he makes a
there's a lot of haziness around this whole deal.
Maybe he makes a video on his YouTube channel.
Yeah, reviews a car and then tells you what happens with his shoulder.
Yeah.
Wow, that was special stuff. Either way, he needs a new PR team because that it was not great over the last 5 months for Derek Carr and company. All right, I want to see if the All SEC team is posted on SECsports.com yet. It doesn't appear that it is. Let's see if we have it on LouisianaSports.net. I wanted to kind of guess a few, but if we don't have it, here it is.
Oh, here it is. I see it.
So the player of the year was Wahiba Aloy. That's what I would have guessed. Pitcher of the year, I'm going to guess that's Liam Doyle. That is correct. Freshman of the year, I'm going to go Dylan Volantis,
That's
Texas.
it. Ding.
What else do we have? Is there another
Coach
award?
of the year?
That will be Jim Schlossnagel.
Yeah, I hit ding on the thing,
And
but
it didn't work.
Yeah,
All right.
there.
Who else we got? We got another category.
I don't see any actually
Okay.
right now. Let's see.
And then LSU, you told me in the break that you got Cade Anderson and
Zach Cowan.
Zach Cowan on the first team. That works for me. I got the first team in front of me now. Rylan Galvan, awesome at Texas. Luke Heyman. Oh, 2 catchers. Interesting. Andrew Fisher, Tennessee, monster year. Gavin Killen was awesome at Tennessee as well. Ace Reese at third base for Mississippi State. That's probably going to be an interesting transfer portal name, if we're being quite honest here. Hit 20 home runs for Mississippi State. They're moving on. He was at Houston last year, Mississippi State this year. That's a guy that I would really like to see in Baton Rouge if he were to jump in the transfer portal. They do have Ike Ayers listed as an outfielder. Charles Davilan, who hits leadoff for Arkansas. Cade Snell at Alabama had a monster year as well. Zach Root and Dylan Volantis on the first team. Kyson Witherspoon as well. I thought Anthony Heinsohn had every bit as good a year as Zach Root, just on the top of my head.
Yeah, and he finished strong too, which usually bodes well.
And then as far as second team goes, Derek Jones, Daniel Dickinson, Derek Curiel, Anthony Ianson on that list. Freshman, Derek Curiel, and Kason Evans. All defensive team. Cade Anderson, all defensive team.
Sam Dutton, also second team.
That is all defensive team. Cade Anderson, he played really good on D. I guess that's a weird one to vote on.
Choosing a pitcher is, especially choosing a pitcher for all defensive team is probably not the easiest thing to do.
I know early on LSU's pitchers were accounted for more than half their errors for the first 4 weeks of the season. So yeah, there you go. That's the all SEC teams. I don't have a lot of beef there. I would like to see Anthony Ianson get first team recognition, but I'll take him when regional time rolls around. Y'all can have the rest of the guys. I think he's throwing it pretty dadgum good at this point. All right, Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. We'll come back with Connor O'Gara from Saturday Down South next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Vaughn and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. If you're in a home that's got one of those big 80s, 90s style jacuzzi tubs, it takes up a ton of space and you don't ever really get in it, well, take it out. There's a lot of space there that you could be using properly. So take out that huge tub that you don't use, put in a walk-in shower. Changes the look of your bathroom, changes the functionality of your bathroom. Another thing that David DeVault and his team do a lot is if you've got one of those stand-in showers that's just a little square and you'd like a little bit more space, do that tub to shower conversion, and then he can turn that shower space into a closet that can put some of your things away in the bathroom. It's that type of stuff that they can get real creative with. They can customize it to exactly what you're looking for. And he's the only phone call that you have to make, One Bath and Closets. You don't have to call 4 different contractors to get it done. You just call One Bath and Closets. Go to the website, onebathandclosets.com. You can get that free consultation, see pictures of their awesome work. You can also see some reviews from their satisfied customers over the year. It's David Duvall and One Bath and Closets. Find them online, onebathandclosets.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar, but instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hope your work week's off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Our Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. I was scrolling through the old Twitter machine today, and I saw a tweet. It said, taps Mike, clears throat. LSU is winning a national title in 2025. That tweet was authored by Connor O'Gare from Saturday Down South, and I thought, well, I've got his phone number. Let me text him and see if he'll come on and say that on my show. So we will. Connor joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Connor, thanks for the time. How are you on this Monday?
Doing really well. Some would say that I just joined, or I just, probably threw that out there just so that I could join your show and get the great people of Baton Rouge fired up.
Well, let's do it. I appreciate it either way. I don't feel like that was probably the intention, but it certainly was the result. Why do you feel this strongly about LSU as we sit here in May?
I'm one of these people that has looked at everything Brian Kelly has done and just been amazed at everything that we've seen in the portal suggests this is a team that senses urgency. And you could have probably assumed that LSU would act this way after Garrett Nussmeier announced that he was coming back. But let's not forget, at this time last year, everybody's dragging Brian Kelly because he's the one talking about the bidding war and, it's Dominic Williams. They don't want to go after this guy or that guy in the portal. Do they really get it? Are they really built to win in this day and age? And then you look at this roster and what it's become really since the beginning of December. And to me, they have just addressed every single key area of need. And if I'm winning a national championship in this year, 2025, wherein the 12-team playoff exists, I'm not necessarily caught up in, do they have, the pieces to go 12-0. I think LSU will lose a regular season game, but I think by the end of this playoff run that they go on, they will have all of these things figured out. And I think that Brian Kelly has finally put together a roster, he's finally put together a coaching staff, and he's finally put together a belief that LSU is all in, and that's why I think they get it done this year.
Would you take Garrett Nussmeier over the other 15 quarterbacks in the SEC?
I would. I've been saying that since when was my first way too early ranking? Probably January, I think. And I understand the flaws. I think he could actually get better as a downfield passer despite what his profile suggests he is. I think that'll happen with someone like Nick Anderson on board, someone who I think people forgot about because he had a lost 2024 season, but in 2023 at Oklahoma was the only player at the FBS level that had double-digit touchdown catches that averaged 20 yards per catch that was doing that at the Power 5 level. So to me, this is a receiver room that has gotten significantly better around Garrett Nussmeier. And Aaron Anderson, someone that people don't talk about enough. I ranked him as my number 3 receiver in the SEC coming into this season, only behind Ryan Williams and Cam Coleman, because what he did out of the slot to emerge as Garrett Nussmeier's go-to threat was huge last year. And, the late Kyron Lacey, he endured a lot of ups and downs, and Aaron Anderson was kind of the steadying force. Now he returns, and he's got two pieces on the outside that'll complement him really, really well. So I like everything that Garrett Nussmeier has to work with, and I like another year of being able to work with Joe Sloan in that offense to understand where those reads are so that he's not having some of these predetermined mistakes that obviously cost him at different points last year. But I just think he can do everything that you want a passer in this day and age to do.
I don't think many people in Baton Rouge have a lot of concerns about the passing game. I think everybody understands that LSU is going to throw it pretty well next year. The running game is a big point of contention because they just had 4 offensive linemen drafted, and they couldn't run the ball behind that group. So do you feel like the running game should take a step forward even with those 4 guys out the door?
Did they have a true identity last year that Brian Kelly liked? That's the point that I think is worth remembering, because they had Caden Durham step up and become what looked like a guy, and then it never really kind of formed into, well, he's going to get 20 carries a game. You can trust him to be like, hey, he's 120 scrimmage yards. And I think so much of that was because LSU felt the need to throw the football. They felt like that was their true strength. The way that their offensive line was built, they're like, we know we can pass protect. We're not necessarily this break you open, huge, massive holes type of ground game. And I think this year, with the moves that they've made in the portal, they have the potential to be that. Now, I don't necessarily think they need to be a world beater ground game to get the job done. I think the key thing, and the thing that every LSU fan should be looking for, can they close a football game running it? Because they couldn't last year, and that was to their detriment. It cost them at several different points, most notably that season opener against USC. But to me, it's more so about running in situations than putting up 200 rushing yards a game or something like that, because the passing game should be able to do a lot of the heavy lifting.
We know what championship-level defense looks like around here, and they hadn't been anything close to that really since 2019. What gives you the confidence that LSU's defense will rise to that championship level from what it's been the last 3 years?
You can be a top 20 defense and win a national championship. Now, so much of the question is going to focus on what are they looking like with that interior defensive line. The Bernard Gooden addition coming over from South Florida is going to be really important with that. If he's able to step in post-spring and provide that lift in the interior, that's going to be really big. But Whit Weeks coming back healthy and looking like the guy is going to plug a lot of different holes, I think. And that's going to be something that is worth well documenting because of the Harold Perkins return too. And how did those guys play alongside one another, with Perkins playing at the star position, not necessarily having this full off season of reps because both guys are coming back from injuries and whatnot. That's going to be the thing that we're going to talk about a lot probably in the first part of the season, understandably so. But I think Mansour Delane coming over from Virginia Tech is going to also plug up a lot of holes in the secondary that has had no shortage of those over the course of the last few years. And I just think the year 2 step that they'll take in Blake Baker's defense, where they're not necessarily going to have to be wondering about their specific roles the first month of the season. Oh, how does Harold Perkins fit in best? They're going to have these things figured out. To me, that gives me a lot more confidence that this group cannot necessarily be a liability that it's been really for much of the 2020s.
Connor O'Gara is our guest. You can follow him on Twitter at CJ O'Gary's with Saturday Down South. Thinks the Tigers are a national championship pick in 2025. As I look at this LSU team, there's some that are suggesting now or never for Kelly. You got the investment from the boosters. You went hard in the transfer portal. You've got the fifth-year senior quarterback. Do you feel like it's a now or never type proposition for Brian Kelly, or do you feel like the window remains open even if this is a disappointing year?
I think it's now or never. And I think it's now or never from the standpoint of Brian Kelly winning a national championship at LSU. I don't think now or never describes his job security for this year. I don't think that means, oh, man, he's getting fired if they don't do X, Y, and Z. Now, if they're missing the playoffs this year, and this is a team that never really puts it together, it's an 8-4 regular season, and we're looking up at the end of the season going, man, I don't think Garrett Nussmeier is even a first-round guy, sound the alarms. That's going to be perfectly fair. And as someone that is predicting great things for this LSU team, I will say, man, Brian Kelly is not the coach that I thought he was, because there's no reason why this team shouldn't be not only competing for an SEC championship, but competing for a national championship. And especially at a time when, let's remember this too, there's not the big bad Nick Saban. There's even Kirby Smart coming off of consecutive years in which the team has failed to make it to the semifinals. there's not this dominant, inevitable force in the SEC. And that could benefit a team like LSU that just needs to kind of hit those right notes in the key spots. And they're going to have no shortage of opportunities to be able to do that. I'm interested to see what it's going to look like if they have potentially multiple games against an SEC contender like Alabama, like I've projected for them to be able to have one in the regular season, one in the playoff. But yeah, this is a now or never year with the talent that Brian Kelly has, a very much no excuses type team.
Well, we're going to learn pretty quickly right out of the gates going to Clemson. Do you feel like LSU is ready for that? They've lost 5 season openers in a row.
Reluctantly so, I do. And I'll say this. It's one of the more bizarre things in the world that LSU hasn't won a season opener game since 2019.
Yeah.
I mean, I cannot fathom how absurd that is. I've been meaning to look this up. This is an off-season project of mine to see if LSU is the only power conference team to have not won a season opener in the 2020s. If it's not, that list is really low. I mean, let's not forget, Vandy even beat Virginia Tech last year. So like that list is dwindling in a hurry. But here's the thing. They can lose that season opener and still get to all the places that LSU is being projected by crazy people like me. That can still happen in this day and age. Ohio State just showed us you can be 10-2 if you have a team that has that high ceiling. That's what it's all about in this day and age. Are we overrating Clemson a little bit? Just a little bit, because last I checked, that team went 0-3 against SEC competition last year. And I realize it's a little bit different as we're talking about LSU in season openers, Brian Kelly in season openers, all those things. I get it. But we're getting a little bit ahead of our skis to assume that all of a sudden Clemson's going to be dominant against the run, to assume that all of a sudden Clemson can run the football, which was something they could not do to save their lives last year. Might be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. And let's not forget, Louisville went into Death Valley and dominated. South Carolina went into Death Valley, won that game last year. So is LSU capable of doing that? Yes, despite what 2020's history would suggest.
He's Connor O'Gara. You can read all his stuff at Saturday Down South. We'll catch up SEC Media Days next month. Connor, thanks for your time.
Hey, appreciate it, man. He
is Connor O'Gara. Saturday Down South thinks the Tigers are a real threat to win the national championship. In fact, his pick to win the national championship in 2025. It's going to be a fascinating offseason and a really fascinating season. That's the long and short of it, because there are a lot of people that agree with Connor that it's now or never for Brian Kelly and LSU. I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I heard T-Bob say the same thing as well. Like, if LSU goes out there and goes 9-3 this year and doesn't make the playoff at 9-3, kind of like Ole Miss did, like, I think you just go get more good players and try again the next year. Like, I don't think every single possibility is shoved into this right here. Like, I think it's important. I think they've got a real chance. I think they made a big investment, but like, there aren't that many schools that can win the national championship. And LSU is obviously one of them. And they will be the next year and the next year and the next year. So I'm not one to put all of the eggs in one basket, because I just don't think that's the reality. But I'm on an island with that, because obviously, like T-Bob said that, and Connor feels the same way as well. So we'll see. But it's going to be a highly anticipated year, to be sure. So thanks to Connor for giving us a little time here on this Monday, Talk a Little Football with us. We got one segment to go, and then we're getting out of here on a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that is on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Every single make and every single model in the, so you can be assured when you get behind the wheel of a Genesis vehicle that you're behind the wheel of one of the safest cars on the road. Entry level, highest end, all of them got an award. You can get behind the wheel and you can feel the comfort, and you can look at the style, and you can test drive and see all the fantastic features, but you don't know how safe a car is unless somebody else tested it. They certainly have done that at Genesis. So if you're looking for a new vehicle, you want to be sure you're in one of the safest cars on the road, get on by Airline at PQ across from Women's Hospital and get behind the wheel of a Genesis. You will feel the difference. You'll have a wonderful experience with their brand ambassadors. You can be a Genesis driver. Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find them online. GenesisofBatonRouge.com. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance, Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. It's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
.1045 ESPN Baton Rouge Spring Cha-Ching, powered by Citizens Bank and Trust, is back. Register now through tomorrow, on May the 20th at 1045ESPN.com for your chance to win $5,000 in cash. We will announce the winner on Wednesday. It's the Spring Cha-Ching from Citizens Bank and Trust and 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. And actually, our Ducks Unlimited promotion is ending today. You can join us on Friday, May 23rd at the South Stadium Club in Tiger Stadium for delicious food, drinks, and the ultimate allocated 100-bottle bourbon raffle hosted by Ducks Unlimited. Plus, participate in live and silent auctions and raffles for rare whiskey bottles. Sign up at 1045ESPN.com for a chance to win $100 in packs of raffle tickets and the grand prize of $500 raffle pack. For tickets and more information, visit dubourbonraffle.com.
A bummer of a weekend for LSU softball.
Yes, that's a mild way to put it.
He's just losing to Southeastern is not a good look. Like that is, it's significantly worse to lose to Southeastern than it would be to lose to Liberty or UConn or like somebody that wasn't from right down the road.
Yes.
And if you lose to Southeastern on a Tuesday in March, like, okay, whatever, that stuff happens. But on your field in a regional, twice is just a really, really tough pill to swallow if you're LSU. And like Veterina has consistently put LSU right there in the top 16 every year. But the lack of the trips to the Women's College World Series is a little bit disappointing. It feels to me kind of like Mark Richtish, where like, yeah, they're good.
They're always good.
Everybody likes Veterina. She's a good coach. She's great in the community. She's been here a long time. She's won a ton of games. They're always good. But you're not winning games in Oklahoma City. And so sometimes, Kirby Smart's next. And sometimes Phil Fulmer leaves, and then you've got
Derek Dooley
and Butch Jones, and you never get your head above water. So again, I'm never going to come on here and talk about coaches losing their jobs, and I'm certainly not qualified to assess the softball program. But I do know that losing in a regional to Southeastern is a tough look, and that's one that's going to sting for a little bit. It appears Sydney Berzon's potentially in the transfer portal. I think I saw that just over the last hour. So she's kind of been their ace the last couple of years. I know Heavner throws harder and is probably a bigger talent. But portal giveth, portal taketh away. So just tough deal for LSU softball as their season comes to an end over the weekend. Shockingly, A&M's did too. A&M, the number 1 overall national seed, and they lose in the regional. First time that's ever happened in 25 years. Not a great weekend for A&M athletics, if we're being honest. A&M lost in softball, and they were the number 1 national seed. They lost in the women's tennis national final, and then the baseball team lost 2 out of 3 to Georgia, and I believe needs to win the SEC tournament to make the NCAA tournament. So tough time in Aggie land.
Real tough.
I don't know if do we think their softball team blows a lot of bubbles too, or is that just a baseball thing?
I don't know. I mean, they definitely play in a different park, so I don't know if it's just specifically for Bluebell Park or maybe the softball team does it too.
I was talking to Chris Blair at the box when LSU hosted Arkansas, and they had just come back from College Station, and he said when he walked into the stadium on Saturday, a woman walked in front of him with 2 like super soaker level, like these huge plastic bubble guns.
Yeah.
That were looked like they were 2 feet long. Like, my goodness. I don't quite get that one.
Yeah.
That one doesn't jive. Do we have any take it or leave it?
Yes.
Awesome.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it. All right, first one here. We have our conference finals set for the NBA. It will be the Thunder and the Timberwolves. Shout out Naz Reid getting in there. And the Pacers and the Knicks. The NBA is not happy with these conference finals. Take it or leave it.
I'll probably take that.
I'll take
That's
it.
not ideal, but I will say this. As a very casual NBA guy, like I'm not an NBA diehard, I'm not an NBA every nighter, obviously. The Knicks playing big-time basketball in Madison Square Garden is good stuff.
It is.
You got Ben Stiller out there. You got Spike Lee
Timothy
out there.
Chalamet.
You've got all the stars coming out. I went to one Knicks game. They played the Magic when Glenn Davis was there in New York one time, and MSG is just a cool place to go. There's an energy and a buzz in there, and the Knicks have been crappy since the 90s. They had one little bitty spurt there with Carmelo where you thought they might be decent, but they've been bad for 20 years, and them selling that place out, getting it buzzing, that is very, very cool. But the Pacers are not going to be playing the national brand. Certainly Oklahoma City's a tiny little market, and then the Timberwolves, that's the same type deal. So, yeah, you'd really like the Celtics and Lakers and Warriors to show up.
Maybe the Nuggets, yeah.
Yeah, this is not ideal, but again, there's a tilt of the pendulum because of the Knicks in Madison Square Garden that makes that relevant.
Yeah, if the Knicks can make the finals, the NBA will be okay. Even no matter who they end up playing, because it doesn't matter if it's the Thunder or the Timberwolves.
I bet Manhattan is freaking awesome
oh
right
my
now.
Gosh.
That is such a Knicks town. They love the Knicks even when they're bad. And so that's because I don't think there are any Nets fans. I don't think those exist.
Yeah.
Like the Yankees, there's way more Yankees fans than Mets fans, but there are a lot of both.
Yes.
There's a lot of Giants fans, a lot of Jets fans. Basketball's all the Knicks, and so that's a cool deal. That people the streets have got to be on fire.
Yeah, I think you can probably compare it. The Knicks have always their fans are always there. I think you could compare it to the way the Cubs were. The Cubs always had great fans, and then finally in 2016 it came together, and that was just an incredible. Even if you weren't a Cubs fan, it was just awesome to see a good fan base get rewarded. So I'm happy for the Knicks. It's good that they made it so this far. All right, we'll just have one more here. We got about a minute left, but. Scotty Scheffler, of course, won his third major yesterday. I would say cruise to a 5-shot victory. John Rahm gave him a scare on the front nine, but then fell apart, probably because he didn't play a lot of golf these days. Scheffler will
hated
win.
To see that, by the way.
Really hated
Darn.
it. Yes, really sucks. Scheffler will win at least 6 majors before he retires. Take it or leave it.
6?
3 more.
I'm leaving that.
Leave it alone.
I think more people would say he will, but it is so hard to win one of those golf tournaments.
It is.
He's the best in the world right now. There's no question about that.
He's won 3 before he turned 30, and I think Jack and Tiger only other ones to do that.
So I mean, he's great. He's already a Hall of Famer, but 3 more of those is really, really tough. I mean, Rory just went, 10 years without winning one?
Yeah.
So it's just really tough to get to.
Yeah, this will be the most interesting thing in golf for the next 2 or 3 years is whether or not he can keep up this run, because we saw Rory, we saw Jordan, both those guys went on a run for a few years where they just were winning a
Everybody
major or
loses
two.
it except Tiger.
We'll see.
Everybody
we will see if Scotty is the next one.
If he can make it. And there's some aspects of his game that are Tiger-ish, especially from the iron play. But it's great to see him win that. Sorry to Bryson. You got a lot of money,
tough.
but you still have to wear clip art on your clothes. Hate to see that. Not Bryson. I was talking about Ron. Either way, don't want either one of them. They both have clip art on their clothes. That's it. You missed any of the show today. Catch it on demand. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further Review. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place. It'll be a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.